It appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on CoreTV News at 7. I am Ebulomo Adekunle. The World Health Organization has officially declared Nigeria free of Ebola after 6 weeks with no cases. Africa's most populous country won praise for its swift response after an infected Liberian diplomat brought the disease into the country in July. The global health body had last week signified its intention to officially declare Nigeria Ebola-free today, following the absence of new Ebola cases in the country after the requisite 42 days of active surveillance. The WHO officially declared Senegal Ebola-free on Friday. The outbreak has killed more than 4,500 people in West Africa, mostly in Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. In spite of the certification of Nigeria's Ebola-free by the World Health Organization, the Lagos State government has vowed not to disband existing structure that led to the successful containment of the deadly disease. The state's Commissioner for Health, Jide Idris, says the facilities will be maintained to fight a reoccurrence of the virus. Abiola Oluwale's report is presented from our studio.
The prompt joint response of the federal and Lagos State government was instrumental to the containment of the deadly Ebola virus disease imported into the country by late Liberian diplomat Patrick Sawyer. WHO statistics reveal there were over 9,000 Ebola cases, resulting in over 4,000 deaths so far. Nigeria contributed 20 cases and 8 fatalities. The State's Commissioner for Health, Jide Idris, says Lagos is ready to send volunteers to Sierra Leone to assist. Highlighting the steps taken by Lagos in the containment of the virus, Idris says existing structures like the emergency centers and the cremation law assisted in arresting the spread of the disease. He stressed that the Lagos State government will maintain and upgrade facilities used in the fight against the disease, as well as develop local capacity to curb future occurrence.
As it is now, we will not disband the structure that we put in place. We do not intend to, and we will not, but rather hone on their effectiveness and efficiency. And some of the key factors that helped us, again, in what we was the political will and support at the highest level of governance, including the governor of this state again, who played a very active role. Members of the State Executive Council, some of us are here, and others again who played their own roles on ground. And again, the activity support by the federal government and all the other external agencies who helped us, WHO, CDC, MSF, UNICEF, etc. There were many. It was a collaborative effort.
He also announced a gesture of 50 million naira to First Consultants Medical Center, urging the government will assist the survivors of the disease.
Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar says the successful eradication of Ebola virus disease would change the negative perception of the country by the outside world. He also maintained in a press statement issued by his media office in Abuja that the Nigerian government, as well as Lagos and Rivers State government, should be commended for their achievements. The former Vice President added that the declaration of Nigeria's Ebola-free zone was a clear demonstration of the outcome of collaboration, hard work and commitment of the federal government, Lagos and Rivers State governments. Atiku said he was impressed with the manner Nigeria had proved to the world that it had the will, commitment and human resources to deal with critical challenges of this nature. The APC presidential aspirant also extolled the virtues of medical personnel during the battle to control the spread of Ebola, adding that he was touched by the sacrifices that was made by medical personnel who sacrificed their own lives to save others. And few minutes after receiving the Ebola-free certification from the World Health Organization, Onyebuchi Chukwu handed over to the Minister of State for Health, Kaliru Alasan, at a brief ceremony in Abuja. Chukwu is one of the 7 cabinet members whose exit from the government was announced by President Goodluck Jonathan last Wednesday. He's keen on contesting the 2015 governorship election in Ebonyi State on the platform of the People's Democratic Party. Reactions have continued to trail the recent ceasefire deal between Nigeria and Boko Haram. A security expert, Onai Homo, has advised the federal government not to swallow hook, line and sinker the deal reached with the dreaded Boko Haram group. Homo, who spoke to CoreTV News in Lagos, warns that the ceasefire deal does not translate to end of war, adding that the federal government should be vigilant.
It is quite premature of the federal government to stop fighting because it is not clear that these guys are on their own yet. Well, I guess perhaps in keeping with the ceasefire agreement, they have ceased firing. But once that ceasefire was breached, the government soldiers should be back in operation. The federal government has been a sincere broker, peace broker in this matter. The problem had always been Boko Haram, and that is why we are worried that even with this ceasefire deal, the latest ceasefire deal that has been announced, that is only the federal government side that's announcing it, that BH is not on board announcing the deal. And like I keep saying, unless and until I see Abu Shekau come out and say that, yes, stop fighting, nothing is going to happen.
Against the backdrop of the recent ceasefire deal between Nigeria and Boko Haram, one of the nation's security agencies, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, has emphasized the import of peaceful coexistence, especially in a multi-ethnic society like Nigeria. The NSCDC, at a human capacity development training in conjunction with a non-governmental organization, Impact for Change and Development, stressed the all-important role of peace at this time in the nation's development. Oluwaseyi Adegoke's report is presented from our studio.
The event, tagged Peace and Conflict Resolution, emphasized the reality of peaceful coexistence among Nigerians and admonished them not to only talk the peace but also walk the peace. The Lagos Commandant of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Donato Sikemefuna, says peacekeeping is of utmost priority.
In Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, we have a very vibrant peace and conflict resolution unit. But going forward, we also felt that everybody who works for this organization should be in a position to mediate. Look at our name, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. We should be seen to mediate in matters that affect the general public. That is one of our core mandates. And we're here to make sure that it works out really very well.
The Executive Director of Impact for Change and Development, Naomi Akpanita, says peacekeeping is not a one-way traffic, but a collective responsibility.
Peace and conflict resolution, how we achieve it is multifaceted. It depends on the issue. But one thing that is very key is having the right mindset. Know the perspective that helps you to see it as doable. When you're beginning to see a conflict as a do or die thing, as I must win or the other person must win, then we'll have a problem because it's going to end up in a do or die situation. But when you see that this is something that's a part of life and can be resolved and can be addressed in such a way that you go on happy and I go away happy too, then that's a new perspective to it. That helps us to mutually work towards ensuring that something good comes out of it.
The organizers urges Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps to make a change and impart peace in the society.
President Goodluck Jonathan last night met with state governors elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party in Abuja. The meeting, which held at the First Lady's Conference behind closed doors and ended early on Monday morning, journalists were barred from the venue of the meeting on the ground that it was a private session, but there were indications that the 2015 election was on top of the agenda. Governors who were seen going into the meeting included the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, Godswill Akpabio of Akwa Ibom State, and his counterparts from 14 states. Deputy governors of Kogi and Nasarawa states were also in attendance. Governor Babatunde Fashola says the federal government is giving wrong information about the debt profile of the state, challenging the federal government to give the true situation of things with the federation account. Fashola made this known while speaking at the 2,700-day celebration of his administration in office. Abiola Oluwole was there. His report is presented from our studio.
Every 100 days, Governor Babatunde Fashola addresses residents on developments in the state. Undaunted by the rains, residents troop out to listen to their governor for the 27th time. Speaking on the 160 billion naira debt profile of the state, Fashola says such loans are used for developmental projects.
Our political advisors have issued statements that we have borrowed 160 billion. What they have not told you is what we are doing with the money. In the last 100 days, we commenced work on providing street lighting on Murtala Muhammad Way in Yaba. This is 10 kilometers of public lighting, which will be completed by the end of this month. On Eko Bridge, Kata Bridge, Ikorodu Road, Lekki Ekpe Expressway, and every street and highway where there is street lighting in Lagos today, it is the Lagos state government that supplied the poles, the bulbs, and the diesels that keeps those lights running.
He, however, challenged the federal government to render account for the 2.3 trillion naira unappropriated funds spent on fuel subsidy, which he says is responsible for states being unable to access enough funds through the federation account.
And if they still ask you about debt, ask them to account for over 2.3 trillion naira spent on fuel importation without appropriation. And also ask them to explain what happened to $20 billion. Because if these huge amounts were made available to the federation account for the states and local governments, clearly things will be different in our country.
The forum also served as a platform for Fashola to respond to questions from residents on policies of the state government.
Religious leaders across Ekiti State have urged the new governor, Ayodele Fayose, to run an all-inclusive government devoid of bad blood and vengeance, as God has given him a rare opportunity of a second chance in his life. The chief imam of Ado Ekiti and representative of Pastor William Kumuyi of the Deeper Life Bible Church, speaking at the Thanksgiving service of Ayo Fayose on Friday and Sunday, describes the second coming of the governor as a rare opportunity, thus making him to forgo the past and run a government that doesn't create enmity. Ayo Fayose, who rolled on the floor in a show of appreciation to God for his victory, promised to do as admonished by the religious leaders, while he also ordained himself an apostle of stomach infrastructure. The Thanksgiving held at the Ado-Ekiti Central Mosque and the Deeper Life Bible Church campground in Ado-Ekiti and attracted dignitaries from the political class and the traditional institution. President Goodluck Jonathan wants Nigerians to emulate the example laid down by former head of state Yakubu Gowon after the Civil War. He argued that the general did not stop with his reconstruction efforts after the war, but also went on to support all successive administrations. Jonathan was speaking at the 80th birthday Thanksgiving service in honor of Gowon in Abuja.
If the people repent and sincerely do so, God is merciful. God will forgive. God will restore a nation, beginning from the priests to the kings, the political leaders, to the people. Talk to them and show fruit of repentance and show that we have truly, genuinely repented. Let us forgive one another. Let us not look the other side on the children of the poor. Let us not take what is not ours. And Joel warns because of three things, and I will close. Number one, God has never, throughout the scriptures, God will never punish the righteous. God doesn't do that. But secondly, God will always punish, or God will always judge and punish the wicked.
Since I'm here in person, let me formally congratulate General Yakubu Gowon. Happy birthday, sir. And one thing that marked Gowon very clearly is that he was the head of state then, but he was totally committed to the issue of keeping Nigeria together. And that's why even after leaving after dropping the gun, he picked up even a stronger to keep this country together. Immediately he left as a military head of state. He picked the most formidable instrument of war, and he comes up with the Nigeria praise. And with that, he continued, that his commitment to keep Nigeria one.
Now, how can I honestly respond to the beautiful things that are said about me by Mr. President, by all the speakers, the preachers, and Father Matthew Kuka, that I've always thought he was under 25. But since I first met him some years ago in the 1990s, really, all the prayers that have been said for me, for my family, all the encomiums that had been showered on me, I honestly, sincerely feel very humble, but gratitude to Almighty God.
It's the CoreTV News at 7. We'll take a break now and we'll be back with more stories. Don't go away.
Glad to have you join us on another edition of The Political Arena, the most detailed and incisive political show.
If you are a sitting governor and the opposition is able to stomach structure against you, that means you are wicked to the people.
He gave me 20 minutes to move or they will shoot me.
He has no chance for survival. If he likes himself, this is the best time to get out before he perishes.
The PDP as a ruling party has failed.
So anybody who thinks that government will fold his hands and allow miscreants to take over the streets of Osun State and cause havoc is deceiving himself.
The good, bad, ugly, and beautiful sides of the Nigerian political system. Join me every Sunday at 9:15 p.m. on CoreTV News.
Thank you for being there, and for more news and other information, you can visit our social media platform, Facebook, facebook.com/CoreTV News. On Twitter at CoreTV News NG. And on YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV, leave it space, then news. The Otulu community in Aniocha South local government area of Delta State has called on the state government to intervene to save the community from the alleged incessant attacks by Fulani herdsmen in the area. The community chief, Paul Eboji, made this call in an interview with the newsmen in the area. Eboji says the people now live in fear due to the rampant attacks of the herdsmen. Eboji posited that government's intervention is necessary because the community is peace-loving and would not want to be dragged into clashes with herdsmen that could take lives. He alleged the Fulani herdsmen have turned their farmlands into grazing ground for their cattle. The community chief says challenging the herdsmen has led to attacks on members of the community, with several also maimed in the process, calling on the state government to intervene to prevent a major crisis. The kidnapping of a former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Okiwali, has continued to generate reactions. A former chairman of the Ikeja branch of the association, Monday Ubani, and a Lagos-based legal practitioner, Chukwuemeka Eze, both condemned the incident, describing it as indicative of the sad state of security in the country. They, however, called for his immediate and unconditional release, while also admonishing the government to do more on the issue of insecurity in Nigeria.
But the kidnap is very condemnable, it's highly reprehensible, and it's very scary for some of us. And that, again, tells us the state of our insecurity. I traveled recently to East, and I've actually saw every big man, every big woman with security apparatus, with policemen and vehicle following them. It then means that if you don't have any money to have your own personal arrangement of security force protecting you, you're on your own. You can easily be kidnapped. You can easily be abducted. So the state of insecurity in this country is very alarming.
The kidnap signposts the continuation of the black chapter in the book of political history of Nigeria. That in 2014, Nigeria is not known as a country that will make a lot of difference in the world.
Kaduna State Governor Mukhtar Giro of Kaduna State has assured polo enthusiasts of adequate security for the duration of the forthcoming annual tournament. Speaking during the check presentation at the Madu Yakubu Polo Ground, Murtala Square, Kaduna, Governor Giro, who was represented by the Commissioner for Sports and Youth Development, Bashir Zubairu, said the state government would render all necessary assistance required to make the tournament a success. President Kaduna Polo Club Alhaji Shehu Muazu expressed appreciation to the Kaduna State government for approving a second polo ground for the club and for building a stable for the club. Tournament manager Ibrahim Abba said the 2014 tournament will be used to commemorate Nigeria's centenary celebration, adding that polo players are expected from within and outside the country. And that's it on the news. CoreTV News at 7. Join me again at 9:45 for the primetime news. Thank you for watching. I am Ebun Lomo Adekunle.